How's it going, guys? We are here at the Four Seasons Hotel, here to cover the OC main event in San Francisco. I have with me the incredulous, if that's a word, JJ, as many of all of you know him. And JJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. I mean, we're overclocking, we're pushing boards to the limits,
Yes,
we're breaking world records. I mean, how could I not be enthusiastic and excited?
Absolutely. Now, exactly what are people overclocking for? What are they overclocking? What is the platform they're doing this with to break world records?
Well, if you guys have been checking out Newegg TV, right, there's been, of course, the recent introduction of Intel's latest Extreme Edition processor, specifically Ivy Bridge E, right, the 4960X. So we've taken a huge amount of 4960Xs, and we've been through them to find the absolute best to go into the pursuit of breaking 5 world records. And we've also gone ahead and just used this as the place to formally launch our latest and greatest motherboard, a board that we've literally spent a huge amount of time, over 10,000 man hours in development, with over hundreds of engineering samples to produce in the new Rampage Black Edition X79 based motherboard. So that motherboard, in combination with the Extreme Edition CPU from Intel and its unlocked capabilities, along with some awesome memory from Corsair, we're using to absolutely push the limits of this platform and break some world records.
Absolutely. So I guess in a nutshell, if you could tell the audience, what basically goes into making or tailoring a motherboard for the utmost overclocking potential?
It goes in a lot. Like I said, when we talk about that we have literally thousands of hours in development, what do you actually do in thousands of hours? And a lot of it comes through literally going back and doing the same thing over and over and over again, but with just slight little changes, right? It's like Edison said, right? I found 10,000 ways to not make the light bulb. And that's the same thing that we're literally doing when we're making a board like the Black Edition. We're trying to figure out how do we absolutely eke out every point of margin. So some really critical points might be like the trace layout on the motherboard. Sure. It's those things that you don't see, but when you get really tight in the board, you see all these like kind of little squiggly lines. Well, guess what? Those little squiggly lines align with a very special set of software that's called the MRC. And the MRC, it contains a lot of code on how the motherboard responds at different frequency and it does different things. And when you tweak and tune the layout to react to the MRC in different ways, you might extend the margin that much more. So that lasts, 5, 10, 15% of what the platform can afford for. When you tune it the right way, it allows you to extend out that margin. So those type of things, better power componentry, more optimized UEFI, all those things help us to push out the margin. Like this platform, Ivy Bridge E, we've already done in quad channel operation over 3,700 megahertz on memory. That's pretty insane because those are the type of frequencies you would think would only be capable on a dual channel platform that has a really strong memory controller like Ivy Bridge or Haswell. Right. But we're doing that in quad channel. So those are the type of things that we are looking to implement when we talk about a real high-end enthusiast-based board. Absolutely.
And how much of that is on Intel's part with the Ivy Bridge E platform that's been able to achieve those overclock records? I mean, what about the Ivy Bridge E platform allows ASUS to work together with them in order to achieve those results?
It really comes to, it's a co-leverage of really understanding the way that the architecture allows for real-time adjustment. So, Ivy Bridge E has a huge amount of granularity and control in terms of how you can tweak and tune it. So sometimes what we'll have to do is we'll have to push the boards really hard, post and boot in at like a 5 gigahertz frequency, but that last maybe 600-700 megahertz, we all do that dynamically real time in the operating system, and that's only allowed because the processor allows it to be dynamically overclocked in real time. The memory performance, right, is only achievable because Intel has really tuned that memory controller to allow for a huge amount of margin in terms of what can it reach. So a lot of this comes through Intel really pushing the envelope in terms of saying these are all these knobs and switches, and then us going, okay, wow, there's a lot of knobs and switches in here. How can we incorporate these so that when we put it in the hands of enthusiasts, right, they can really push every single one of those little parameters along with all the fine-tuning we do on the hardware to push everything out to as much as we can so that, we can break 5 world records like we've just done.
Gotcha. Definitely. And speaking of those world records, what exactly are those world records in?
So we've targeted 5 different benchmarks. 3 of them are focused within 3D Mark 11, so they're going to be for the different presets, so Entry, Performance, Extreme. We have Cinebench focusing on the multi-thread version of Cinebench, as well as CPU-Z Memories Benchmark, which is going to be focusing on the memory frequency. So as we can see, I said 3,700 megahertz, and you can see one of the world records is already that we've reached 3.8 gigahertz in quad channel operation on this board. That's pretty insane.
Indeed. And I take it from the massive amounts of smoke behind us that all these overclockers here...
Vapor.
What's that?
Vapor.
Vapor. All the vapor. Forgive me. All of the professional overclockers behind me are using LN2 to achieve these results, correct?
Yeah, so we're driving this thing crazy. We're talking about 170 plus below zero in terms of the frequencies to keep these processors cool with all the voltage that we're driving in them. But we've been benching on these boards for literally almost 2 days straight. So we've been beating the boards hard, the CPUs hard, and we've got tons of LN2 as you see there in the tanks, just ultimately so that we can keep pushing this out there. And at the end of the day, how this translates to you guys as end users, because you guys aren't going to take liquid nitrogen and overclock at home. But what we're trying to ultimately show you here is what's capable on the platform and our commitment to also this platform. There's always a lot of really great technology that's coming out in the latest generation tablet or the latest generation notebook or mobile device. But we're also passionate about those components that you can put together yourself and tweak and tune. And so here we're trying to show you, hey, we're committed to that. We want to be able to show you how Intel, Corsair, and ASUS are stepping up to be able to show that, and that you can also have an amazing overclocking experience even if you're an end user by taking advantage of the board in classic ways or in automated ways as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great thing what you guys are doing. You, Intel, and Corsair have all kind of congregated here, and it makes perfect sense because all of your hardware integrates so nicely, and you guys have invested so much time to make that work to the best of its ability. So thank you, JJ, for sharing this information with us and spending time with us tonight.
Well, as always, thank you for having me, and thank you to the Newegg TV audience, man.
I am here with Andy. Now, Andy is the CEO of Corsair.
Welcome.
That is a true fact. And Andy, can you explain a little bit of what all this fabulous stuff behind me is and what's going on here?
Well, yeah, we're trying to break some world records. And so let's talk about overclocking. Why is that important? Overclocking is like Formula One racing. We're trying to stretch the envelope, found out how far components can go before they give up. And it's really important for setting the standards for future specs, future speed grades, and that kind of thing. And we've been involved in this since 1998. It's great.
Now, so you guys have been around for a while now. You guys know the game. What do you think is the biggest attribute that you can attribute to your guys' success and how you guys have continued to grow throughout the years?
So it's pretty simple. In our labs, all our guys are gamers and overclockers.
Yep.
And so they've always been telling us exactly what to make. So we make what customers want and they buy it. It's simple as that.
So really the secret ingredient to a successful business is listen to your fans.
Listening to customers is a good thing.
Right.
Usually. Yep.
Absolutely. Now, as far as, I kind of want to get more personal here. Now, what do you do on your spare time with, all right, so when you're not running the company, for example, and you're just in your leisure time, what do you like to do on a PC? Like, do you like game? Do you game? Or do you game?
I don't game.
Okay.
In fact, I spend very little time on a PC in my personal life. But I do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
I make a lot of things,
Yes.
and I'm what's known as a hot rodder. So I play with old cars, take them to pieces,
nice.
tune them up. And that's really one of the things that got me inspired into the DIY business because it's exactly the same business.
Brilliant. Can we start to see Corsair making any car parts in the future?
I hope so, because I'd buy them.
That's awesome. All right, so I have another question. What case do you have right now in your main desktop at home?
600T, white.
Me too.
All right.
Booyah. And all right, I have another personal question. Out of all the Corsair products, which one are you most proud of? And you can't say all of them. I want to know. Which one do you like the best? Were you like, yeah?
I love. It's like asking me which my favorite child.
I
love
know.
all.
That's why I wanted to ask.
The Dominator Platinum, as we're here overclocking memory, Dominator Platinum is a
Brilliant.
fantastic product.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, Andy, I know you're a very busy man.
I am.
And thank you so much for sharing this time with us.